being interrupted by an examiner during a thesis defense could be very stressful for students. You're in the middle of your answer, you're building your argument, and suddenly an examiner cuts in. Many students might immediately interpret this as a bad sign. They think, oh no, I've said something wrong, I've lost control, I'm screwed. Well, that interpretation is often incorrect. In this video, I am going to explain what examiner interruptions actually mean, and more importantly, what to do when it happens. First, examiners' interruptions are no big deal. Alright, let's start by normalizing this. I speak from experience. Interruptions from examiners during a thesis defense are relatively infrequent, but certainly not uncommon. And in most cases, it's not personal and it's not punitive. Examiners may interrupt you simply because they have already had enough information from your answer and they want to move on to the next topic. After all, a thesis defense is usually quite short and examiners want to cover all their questions. Or they interrupt you because they need clarification on something that you just said. Or maybe they want to steer the discussion to a slightly different direction to actually help you. Or, yes, occasionally they interrupt because they want to test you, see how you respond under pressure. But that's really not very common. An interruption usually means that the examiner is actually quite engaged with your answer. It does not automatically mean that your answer is bad. And that's the first key thing to remember. The second point. What is the worst mistake students make when interrupted? Here's what many students instinctively do. They keep talking. They talk faster, even louder. They try to finish their answer. They try to push their original point through the interruption. And that almost always makes things worse. Why? Because it looks defensive. It shows that the student is not open and receptive to new information, and it ignores the fact that at that moment, the floor is no longer yours. Because think about it, in the mind of the examiner, if they interrupt your answer, it means that they think they have something relevant, important, even urgent that they need to say. Once an examiner interrupts you, you continuing to talk is usually not the right move. So what should we do? Well, here's point number 3. The safest response is surprisingly simple. Listen, acknowledge, and then respond. That's it. That's all there is to it. Say something like, yes, thank you, I see your point. That's actually a useful clarification. Let me respond to that. These phrases are simple but strategic. They show composure and maturity. They buy you some thinking time, and they reset the interaction in a professional and respectful manner. Point number 4, and this is a bit of a nuance. See if you can recognize different types of interruptions. Not all interruptions are the same. We touched on this just now in point number 1. Let me briefly distinguish 3 common types of interruptions. First, clarifying interruptions. These sound like, can you be a bit more specific? What exactly did you mean when you said, here the examiner wants something specific, something accurate. In other words, they want less, not more. So a narrow, specific, concrete answer is usually better than continuing your original explanation, which was probably too broad or generic. Second, corrective interruptions. For example, wait a minute, that's not quite accurate. Or, I think you are mixing 2 concepts here. They are correcting and challenging you on something. This is not the moment to defend yourself emotionally. Listen, acknowledge, then adjust or reframe calmly. Use the framework that we just talked about in point number 3. The third type, steering interruptions. For example, okay, let's move on. Actually, that's not what I'm asking. Could you focus a bit more on? In these cases, consider letting go of your original direction. The interruption tells you what matters more than your original answer. Because remember, every interruption is a source of information. Don't ignore it. Use it. Point number 5. When is it okay to push back a little? Now, sometimes respectful pushback is a good idea. For instance, when the examiner clearly misunderstood your point or when a factual correction is necessary. But pushback should be calm and professional. Say something like, I see why this may sound that way. What I meant was, or if I may clarify one point before we move on, you push back once and clearly, then move on. Last point, the mindset shift. Here's the key concluding point. An interruption is not a loss of control. Examiners are not testing uninterrupted, smooth speaking on your part. They are testing your critical thinking, adaptability, composure, and your ability to respond in real time. And, as we have just talked about, every interruption from an examiner is also a useful source of information. It tells you something that the examiner considers important. so use that information. If we stay calm and flexible, an interruption will not hurt our defense. In many cases, it actually helps. So tell us your experiences and strategies in dealing with interruptions. Are there clever things that you do from which we can all learn something? As always, I invite you to leave your thoughts and comments down below. If you find this video interesting and helpful, check out my other videos on thesis defense and academic evaluation. Thanks for watching this Ranywayz random video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.